Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming joining us again at our main meeting. This is Juan Soto, Microsoft Access MVP, and also the founder of AccessUserGroups.org, with chapters on 3 continents, North America, South America, and Europe. Today's discussion is about sales. If you missed our first part, please go to the AccessUserGroups.org account at YouTube, select playlist, select our chapter, Access with SQL Server, and it'll be the first one or second one. If you're seeing this one, it'll probably be the second one after the meeting. You're seeing this after the meeting, it'll be the second one, right? It's the second to most recent one, where we had a lot of great tips. I'm going to summarize it a little bit. Before we get started, we have a great guest today, George Hepworth, who is the Access Pacific chapter president, and George is the author of the most recent Northwind update. So, George, take it away. Let's tell us more about Northwind.
Well, thank you, Juan. Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about Northwind, but I can't take credit. There were a team of 5 people led by Tom Van Stifhout, who worked on it over a period of about 16 months. We ended up deciding that the best way to deploy it would be as 2 templates rather than a single template. So there is a starter version, which is very simple, 6 tables, very limited functionality. We tried to use macros as much as possible, and the idea is to showcase Microsoft or Access features so that people who want to know if Access is something for them, they can try that out, get a feel for it. We used good naming conventions for the tables and objects, the kind of thing that we're always preaching about in the what are good practices. Then in the other version, we call the developer version, is aimed at what we define as like the new Access developer who's just getting their feet wet, and it's more sophisticated. We have a lot of code. The data model is more complete, and we broke some new ground, as it turned out, in getting the 2 templates off the ground and out the door. Tom Van Stifhout is going to do a presentation, I think, for Maria's group soon, and he's going to go into more depth on the experience of developing it. And he's also authoring a blog post. So basically, we launched it, got our first bug report the same day, and scrambled. And I was this part I do want to say, we received a report back that there was a problem with localization in Germany, and we immediately jumped in and fixed that. But there were some other issues. But I was terribly impressed, extremely impressed, I should say, by the way Microsoft responded to that. We had 2 members of the Access engineering team. We had the former Access PM in charge of the whole program on a conference call, working out solutions to a last minute bug. And after it was over, I said, if everybody could see how that went, they would quit complaining about Microsoft's responsiveness, because they really went out of their way to make sure it went off well, and it did.
Good.
So it's out in the wild. If you want it, you can go look either on the featured Access templates page on their website, or it should show up for you in Access 2019 and newer versions.
All right. Thank you, George. Those who were joining us late, we were talking about the Northwind template that's been revamped by a series of 5 people. One of them was George. And it's by high time that we did that, because it's used so much by people. And the original template was terrible. It had spaces and field names. It was missing indexes. It was just a mess, hot mess. So thank you, George, and the community for helping out with us. Also want to chime in with, I was at the Microsoft campus last month for the Worldwide MVP Summit, where I had a chance to watch some amazing demos and see some new technology, which I am sworn to secrecy of. But what I can say is artificial intelligence is taking front and center at Microsoft. It's like this forest fire that's just lighting everything up on campus. I saw some stuff regarding artificial intelligence that just blew my mind away. And there's no secret, Microsoft intends to leverage AI throughout the Microsoft suite. That's all I can say there in terms of Access specifically. I can't say anything more, but there is going to be a huge push, and I'm looking forward to this AI enhanced aspects of coming to Microsoft Access. So one thing I do encourage you to check out is the Copilot feature at GitHub, which is now an artificial intelligence programmer that's sitting by your side, helping you add buttons to your .NET application, helping you with code reviews, creating unit testing. I mean, it's just unreal. It's going to really accelerate the programming techniques of people who focus on .NET, which is not us, unfortunately, but we're hoping that all that stuff comes to Access soon. We'll see. All right, so today I love this topic. As you know, I'm a sales director at IT Impact, and I do sales for a living here. And so this is something that is near and dear to me. Yeah, and this is the same presentation that I give to new sales reps at the IT Impact. When I hire a new sales rep, they get this presentation. So you're getting a secret sauce here. And somebody once asked me, well, why are you giving away all these secrets? One of my employees, I think it was. I'm like, well, you can watch Kung Fu on YouTube. That will make you a Kung Fu master. So I'm hoping that you guys walk away with some golden nuggets to help you with your sales efforts and be able to do this. Look, we need more Access consultants. That's bottom line. There's plenty of fish out there for us sharks. It's no secret that a lot of us are lost our hair while we're back, like me, on the verge of retirement, or retired already, like George on the line. And so we need fresh blood. We just do. So before I continue, I want to bring up the participant list because I want to make sure that I can buzz people in as they become available. All right, so I'm just going to go briefly over last month's highlights. But if you didn't see that video, I do encourage you to go to the YouTube channel and see it there. But basically, this is what we are. We are business consultants that use computer technology to solve business problems. That's what we are, bottom line. And so what we do is solve business problems. How we do it, we use computer technology. In our case, we use Microsoft Access SQL Server. And why we do it, we get immense satisfaction helping people, right? When I get a call from a customer who tells me, hey, this was stuff you did was groundbreaking and really changed my life. I mean, I just really, I'm on cloud nine when I hear stuff like that. We also talked about the 15-minute SEO, right? So you have to have a website. You want to make sure that your website has been optimized for SEO. We talked about the caption property, how critical it is. I showed you guys how, my website comes up many times when you go looking for Microsoft Access Chicago. I show you how I did that. I included the keywords in the caption property and the text of the page. And my listing has the phone number. And then we talked about scheduling using Google AdWords and how to drive traffic and how to get more leads. And then we talked about discovery meeting, right? Where we talked about discover what their pain is. So you schedule 1 hour with the potential prospect. And then the first half hour, you're listening and you're asking questions. And the first rule of consulting is understand the business problem before you design a solution. And so we're going through the pain analysis, right? I asked them to share their screen with me. So show me what you're using now. Show me the Excel spreadsheets. Show me if you're using Excel, you want to convert to Excel Access. Show me the Access system that you're currently using is having problems or bugs, or show me the system that you want to upgrade to SQL Server. And then I try to find out the how, what, and why, right? How they use the database. What do they use it for? Why is it mission critical? I mean, let's face it, we're not cheap. So if they're calling us, it's because their mission critical system has become a liability, right? And they need somebody to come in and fix it. That's bottom line. So it's important that we help them out with that. Then that's the first half. Of the second half hour, I do a demo for like 15 minutes of demos. Because at the beginning of the call, I tell them, look, we can make Access sing and dance, right? And so to prove it, I show them a demo, because most people have never seen a professionally designed Access database. All they've seen is what Bob at the warehouse created when he picked up a book on Microsoft Access in 2007 and created this mission critical app. And they think the world of it. They'll call us up and, they tell me, hey, we got this wonderful app. It's amazing. And it really helps us with our operations. I get a lot of manufacturing leads because I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm a formal plant manager, so I get a lot of manufacturing leads. But, I hear this from service sector as well. We love our Access database, but we need help. And when I see it, sometimes it's just hard not to laugh. I mean, it's so badly designed, hard to use. And you can tell right away it was not designed by a professional. But it really is a sign of how amazing Microsoft Access is. It's just amazing that somebody with zero database experience, professional database knowledge, somebody who can pick up a book to design a Microsoft Access database, can come up with a mission critical system. Just amazes me, right? And Access is very forgiving. You can have tables without primary keys. You can have tables without foreign keys. It'll still work. And so it is something that when we get to the part of the demo, it says, well, let me show you what you can do. And so I show them a demo. I show them a beautifully looking app. And they actually ask me, is this Microsoft Access? Are you showing me Microsoft Access, or is this a web app? No, this is Access. Beautiful interface. Just gorgeous. With amazing features. I show them the document center where they can create documents in Word or create emails from easily from Access to Microsoft Outlook. I show them a contact CRM system in my demo where they can do CRM. I show them a report generator that has multiple outputs, output to PDF, output to Excel. I show them all kinds of stuff. At the end of the day, it just blows them away, right? The demo is what really seals the deal. Because after I show them a demo, I ask them, hey, what's your budget and round numbers for this project? And sometimes they'll tell me, says, well, we're thinking about spending $5,000. Or they won't tell me, like, no, I don't have a budget in mind. I'm costing this around. And that's okay, but I always ask. So then I say, okay, well, let me tell you what I think it's going to be, how much this is going to be, right? Because I've done this for so many years and I've seen similar systems. And so I can, over the course of the hour, I've already formulated a strategy. It's how many dollars is going to be, right? And I tell them up front, I says, look, I want to give you a range. Don't hold me to it. I still have to give you a formal proposal, which we're going to be talking about next. But this is my range. Now, I give them a range that starts low and ends high. And I really want the low number, because when you tell people it's going to be between $15,000 and $20,000, what do they register? They register the $15,000 number. Well, that's the one I want, right? So I purposely think, okay, what is that I want from this project? Okay, then I tag another $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to that. Right. So I give them a range. I say, hey, this is going to be between $15,000 and $20,000. Is that within your budget? Am I in the same ballpark? Oh, yeah, that's within my budget. Well, I just asked you, what was your budget? And you said you didn't have any, right? But I had to break that up. Sometimes, why do I do that, right? Why do I tell them the potential cost of it and that first one out with them? Because I want to see if they have the money. I want to see if they have enough. It's critical enough where they can do the project. Because I'm not going to write a proposal, spend 2 hours, 3 hours writing a proposal, only to find out that it's just too much. It's way too much for them. It was way too pricey too rich for their blood. So I want to discard them off the bat, right? So I'm using this 1 hour to qualify them. They're qualifying me as well. I want to qualify them. And, and because, look, first of all, I've had people tell me, oh, that's too expensive. Right? It's on 15, 20. Oh, no, no. I was thinking about spending 5,000. I thought it was going to be 5,000. Don't be discouraged by that. Because those people who told me that they only have 5,000 end up spending the money anyway once they got my proposal and I convinced them. So don't let them lowball you. Oh, it's too expensive. Oh, it's too expensive. Well, you tell, well, first of all, I agree. I'm not cheap. I'll be the first one to tell you. Not cheap. We charge $235 an hour. You can get Access developers $15, $20 an hour in India. They can do this for you. But remember, they're not business consultants. We are, right? My title is Access Consultant, Microsoft Access Business Consultant. It's not Microsoft Access Developer or Programmer. If you want to go cheap, go to Indeed.com and whatever, these job boards, Fiverr.com or whatever that is. Post a job there, hire somebody from India. We're not for everybody. I'll tell them in the call. We are not for everybody. This is not for everybody. And I got somebody who was really belligerent with me. I mean, he started arguing with me. Oh, you're too expensive. You're a bloodsucker. I mean, he got really bad with me. You know what I told him? I said, sir, I hope you don't pick heart surgeons the way you pick Access developers. And he started laughing, and, and I laughed with him. So that browned out the heat level. So I have that one-liner in my pocket whenever somebody gets belligerent with me on pricing. Remember, somebody calls you for help, and their first question is, what's your rate? Tell them the rate, get them off the phone. You don't want those people as customers. All they're doing is price shopping. I tell them my rate is $235 an hour. Minimum 10 hours. You're not going to hire me for an hour. You have to prepay for 10 hours at $2,350. I'll take your credit card right now. And they give me the credit card. They'll give me the credit card. Right? This week I sold 3 of those, 30 hours total. So one thing that we always do is ask for a deposit. Always, always, always. Right? So when we create a proposal, we give them an introduction. This proposal is to approve your existing database. Then we give them objectives. We're going to convert your sales proceeds to a new Microsoft Access file. That's going to have, or we're going to convert it to SQL Server. Then we have a section on features. Your database is going to have a security model because now that we're hosting the data online, we want to make sure that it's only accessed by authorized people, right? And we give them a project plan. Followed by the investment section. That's what we call it. We don't call it price. We don't mention cost. Our proposal does not use the P word or the C word. It's called an investment. And in the investment section, we ask them for a deposit. If they cannot afford a deposit, what does that tell you? You're going to have all kinds of problems getting money from those people once you finish the job. You are. Now, what I ask for deposits is, if it's $10,000 or less, I ask for half up front, $5,000. If it's more than $10,000, I ask for 33% down. All right. So if it's a $50,000 project, I get $15,000 deposit. Those $15,000 deposit, I start using that at the beginning of the project, right? So I put it on my books as a credit to the customer. And as I'm working through the project, I'm eating that deposit up with my hours. Once the deposit is gone, I invoice them again, start invoicing them on a regular basis. I invoice every 2 weeks. So let's say, for example, the deposit is gone and I've accumulated 2 weeks of hours, like 20 hours of work. I'll send them an invoice for 20 hours times $235 an hour. And they will then have to pay me at 15-day terms. So the invoice is due 15 days after you receive it. So a month after the work was done, they have to pay me back. All right. So Donna asked, do you charge for a proposal? I usually do. I call it the design phase and tell them, and this is in the chat, by the way, so if you want to bring up the chat. Yeah, I do something similar if it's so complex that I need to spend time wrapping my head around the system, just so I can propose them, right? I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but a few months ago, I was at a factory, we had a clean room, and I was wearing a bunny suit, right? And so I go into the clean room, and that was a phase zero. We call that phase zero proposal, where we charge them. We created a proposal that where they're going to pay for my expenses to go visit their factory. In this case, it was a factory. I sit down with their IT manager for 3 days. I was there, right? So they had to pay my meals, my flight, my hotel, my time. And for 3 days, I'm meeting their personnel. I get a factory tour. I start with a factory tour so I can understand, right, the layout of the factory, understand how the software ticks. I go through the UI with Power User. Show me how you use this database, and that can take hours of work. Then I do a deep dive into their table structure, code review. At the end of the 3 days, I sit down with them and give them a report. So these are my findings. I start with security. Here's where you're having problems with security. These people can, I was able easily, most of the time, look, I'm an Access MVP. There's pretty much nothing you can do to keep me out of your system. I know every trick in the book, right? You can try to disable the startup keys. You can try to have passwords. Some cases I'm in 5 seconds into it. So I hold on the shift key, bypass the startup code. I look for a table called passwords, and literally it was that easy sometimes. And I'm in. And, it's a shock to my client. Security is a whole topic that we're probably going to be doing in the fall. I think we should do that in the fall, where we talk about security audits, security concerns, and so forth. Then I go into these are the improvements that we should do that are low-hanging fruit, that are mission-critical features. Right, we need to fix these bugs. We need to do these improvements. And then I give them a much better estimate of how many hours it'll be. $90,000, $100,000, $110,000. So that's what we call a phase zero. Now, do you know what the definition of an expert is? An expert is someone who lives 30 miles out of town, comes in to see you, right? They fly me in, so I'm the expert. They fly me in, right? I'm an Access MVP. Think about all the qualifications. Like, why can I walk in the door? I'm an Access MVP. I'm a Microsoft Gold partner. I'm the founder of this organization, Worldwide Organization. I'm the leading voice, one of the leading voices in Microsoft Access development today. So what I say is golden. And on top of that, you pay the pretty penny to listen to me. So, you pay a pretty penny for me to have it here. So it's your money, right? You should listen to what I have to say. So always ask for a deposit. And if they can't make the deposit, do not do the work. Now, I'm going to ask you this question before I show you my next slide. You've heard me now for 2 months talk about sales. Would you hire me as your sales director? Would you hire me? And if I said, you know what, I will work for you, and all I want is 2.5% of every dollar I bring in, $2.50. Would you hire me on the spot? Says, Juan, you're hired. You come work for me now, you start selling, and I would be more than glad. So if I said sell $100,000, that's $2,500 in my pocket. If I sell $1 million, it's $25,000, right? Who's not going to take that deal, right? There's nobody here on this phone call who will say no. No, why? I don't want to hire you. And I mentioned 2.5% because a lot of you don't take credit cards. That's a form of payment, right? My competition, some of them don't take credit cards. And credit cards is being used 75% of the time at IT Impact to pay for work. And when you don't take credit cards, what are you really saying? I'm not making it this easy for you to pay me for my work. That's what you're saying. Now, I polled people in the past. I've polled my peers who don't take credit cards. And they tell me, I don't want to pay the 2.5%. I work hard for my money. But you just said you would hire me if I only charge you 2.5%. I mean, you literally just said you would take that deal. And if you took credit cards and your sales would go up because now you're offering a form of payment that is easy for the person. Let's go back to the deposit, right? It's a $10,000 project. Deposit is $5,000. A lot of times they put it on the credit card. They don't have that kind of money lying around. I mean, they can come up with the money, they can mail me a check, but they want me to start right away. That's another thing. You mail me a check, we got to wait for the snail mail to come in. Have me deposit it, wait for it to clear 3 days. I mean, that could be a week and a half. And if you need help now, that's not going to work. So yeah, I can check your credit card and I will pay the 2.5%. I have customers. They gave me the credit card details and they tell me, just charge it when you need to charge it. Don't need to confirm with me. Just pay the bill. Just charge it. I have other customers. I send them the invoice. Well, I don't. My accounting department does. And they reply back, yeah, go ahead, just charge your credit card on file. It's convenient for them. It's convenient for you. And when we I say Tuesday mornings are awesome because we charge credit cards on Mondays. And when I wake up, every Tuesday morning, I wake up with a big ass smile on my face after I look at my online credit card, online banking balance. I love Tuesday mornings. Raise your hands if you love Tuesday mornings. Love it. That's where the money comes in for the night before of all the credit card transactions. I mean, I have a 7-figure practice. No lie, right? But these are the same techniques you can use in your practice that have worked for me. These work for me. Will it work for you? Should. You don't have to follow exactly my advice. But not taking credit cards is a real problem because most people use them. I have a customer. I charge a credit card $11,000 every month without fail. They pay me $11,000 every month on the 15th of the month. Why? Because they have a contract with me. And the contract states that they will get so many hours per month at a certain rate because I give them a discount. You know, not everybody's paying $235 an hour. Not everybody does, right? So if you go into a contract with me and you're telling me, hey, what if we did a contract and, well, here's how the discussion involves, right? Let's say it was $235 an hour and it's a big project, right? And they're doing the calculations, mental calculations, coming out to, it may come out to $17,000 a month or $15,000 a month, whatever it is. And I'm listening and I can hear the grumble already. Oh man, this is going to be expensive. I hear them grumbling. I mean, they're human. It's not cheap. And so after we do the initial project and I've won them over, right? Because they don't want to do a contract right off the bat. They don't know me. Why would you lock them into a 12-month contract if I never work with you, Juan, right? So I never mentioned a contract at the beginning. I have sold contracts with brand new customers. I have a $9,000 a month contract that we hit from a customer that right off the bat, he just wanted to save money and I gave him a better deal. So the more you buy per month, the bigger the discount you're going to get. So I love those. And golden nugget, banks love those too. I have a $250,000 credit line. Why? Because I went to the bank. I showed them my credit, my account, my contracts. So these are all my contracts. Here's a spreadsheet. This is guaranteed revenue coming in every month. They can't stop paying me because it's a contract. So like they look at the contracts, they look at the numbers, the spreadsheet. They ask you, how much do you need? I need 250,000. I need $250,000 credit line. Done. Sign here, sign here, sign there. I never use it. Haven't used that credit line in years. Years. But since making payroll is a sacred duty to me and my employees, that's something I always say. We're going to always make payroll around here no matter what. So if I have to even dip into my own personal funds, if I even have to go into my 401k funds to make payroll, thank God, knock on wood, I never had to. But I got that credit line. If you don't have a credit line for your business, now is the time to go open it when the when the times are good. Because fun fact, banks will not give you credit lines when things are bad. Right? I mean, right now the Fed's raising interest rates. You see all this in the news. It's all in the news. Stores are closing, chains are closing. I think the latest one is Bed Bath & Beyond. They're closing. Do you need to read the smoke signals? What's happening with our economy? It's slowing down, right? Businesses are folding because they were so debt rate. They had so much debt on the books that's tied to their interest rate, for interest rate. As soon as that Fed rate starts going up, the house of dominoes start collapsing. So now, when you can prove that you have the income, you've got the invoices that you have the income, you have the savings in your bank account. Now is the time to ask for that credit line in your bank. And it can be as small as $20,000. Go ask. What's the worst they can say? No, we're not going to give you a credit card line. We're not going to give you a credit line. Go ask them. Now, I've been in a position where I maxed every credit card I had. I mean, it was bad. Back when I had hair in my head. It was bad. I will tell you, it was bad. I was losing sleep. In fact, it got so bad, I started having chest pain. I had to check myself into the hospital. But I got myself out of it. I got myself out of that rut. And mostly because I had the wrong people. People who did not believe in Microsoft Access as programmers on my team. All those people are gone. I replaced them with brand new people who love Access. And in fact, I'm hiring right now. Well, work for me, go to itimpact.com/jobs. Submit your resume. I'm looking for amazing people who understand business, who are great knowledge of SQL Server, how Access SQL Server interact. That's a very high qualification. Am I going to find people like that? I don't know. I'm going to try my darnest. I am. If that's you and you're tired of the rat race and you're thinking, you know what, I'd love to work for Juan and have a water cooler moment with my other programmers on staff. You have a water cooler and a virtual water cooler where you come around and you want to be able to have a payroll check that's consistent and good benefits and retire with 401k. Maybe now's the time. I tried working for other people in the past. It's not worked well because I'm an entrepreneur by heart. It was not easy for me to go work for somebody else. But if that's you, by all means, or maybe you know somebody who could be a great asset for my company. We are growing fast. All the things I showed you, right? I gave you all the keys to the kingdom last month and this month. Everything I do, I open my books, open my heart out. This is how I do it. This is how I find customers. This is how I close them. This is the proposal I do. This is why I do what I do. This is why I ask for a deposit. You now have the keys to grow your business. You have your keys to grow your business. This doesn't make it easier. Does not. If you think this is going to be easier because I want to show you all the ropes, no. Being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. If it is for you, God bless you, man. Because this is a lot of work. You want to get to 7 figures. Now, don't make the mistake some of my employees make. They think because the practice makes 7 figures, that I make 7 figures. That's not the case. I make 6 figures. I do not make 7 figures personal income. Right? The business makes 7 figures. Out of those 7 figures, I got to make payroll. pay the lights, pay the expenses, pay my loans, my credit cards back, pay the outside consultants, pay the accounting team I have in house, pay the accounting team I have outside the house. So I have an accounting team that I have to pay outside the business as well. I mean, there's a lot of money that goes in because a lot of money comes in, a lot of money goes right out. Getting to the point where I got to, it took me years. You can do this. All right, who's got questions? Thank you, David. Yeah, I'd like to see your resume. David's going to submit his resume. Any questions, thoughts, comments? Did you guys like the presentation?
Yes.
Thank you, Linda.
Wonderful as usual.
All right, thank you very much. Are you guys motivated? Are you guys more motivated? I want to be like Juan. Is that what you're saying?
I always love listening to you, Juan, because you do motivate me. You do, like, as an entrepreneur and when you're running a business, it gets tiresome and sometimes it can get lonely. And so when you listen to somebody else, it does breed inspiration and enthusiasm. So I love it. Thank you.
One thing I might add is a tip that someone gave me years ago. Whenever you bill hourly, round up. And the reason for that, it almost sounds like you're cheating, but the truth is you're thinking about it, even when you're not aware that you're thinking about it. So you can't just bill for the time you're sitting at the computer.
Well, I mean, that's the problem, right? When you're a one-man show, because when you start this practice, you're like, oh man, I'm going to make $185 an hour. So times 40 hours, the first mistake people make is just 40 hours in a week. I'm going to make so much money every week. This is amazing. Look at all the money I can make. Well, the reality is you'll be lucky if you bill 20 hours a week.
Sure.
Right? Because you have to be the accounting person, send an invoice. You have to be customer service. You have to answer calls. Right? And some of you have to still make dinner every night. Watch the grandkids sometimes. I mean, it's just not feasible. The only reason I started to make 6 figures, is to hire more people. And they're doing the programming. I can laser focus on sales and growth. So if I leave you with any advice tonight, it's this. You need to stop working in your business and start working on your business. Stop programming. Hire other people to do the programming for you. And start selling because you're the best salesperson for your business. You can close them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing that to begin with. So focus on closing. And ABC, you know what ABC means, right?
Always be closing.
Always be closing. Always be closing. All right. So Joe says, yes, very informative. What needs to be set up to be able to take credit cards? Yeah, look, shop your credit cards around, right? I mean, you can always approach your bank. Some banks are bloodsuckers. They charge you a lot of percent, and then they will charge you again statement fees. And don't take that. I mean, you can go to Costco. I think you can do credit card processing at Costco. I do mine through PNC. I have a PNC account, and so they treat me well. But then again, I have a large volume, and I challenge them. So don't look, shop around, and if you see that this bank XYZ gives you a 2.5%, and they're quoting you 3%, just let them know, hey guys, that's not going to work. You'd be surprised. They will actually match other banks, other credit card processors. Now, the worst is QuickBooks, because QuickBooks will let you take credit cards. Those guys have the highest rate. It's convenient, but it's the worst. So it looks like Joe really loved my analogy of paying me 2.5% increased sales. Go get him, Joe. Amex.
Sorry.
No, it says here Amex, they may take a bigger cut. Yeah, Amex does take a bigger cut. Go ahead, Donna.
Oh, I was just thinking, like, for years I've thought about taking credit card and stuff like that. I've never kind of jumped onto that bandwagon. It's still always on the front most of my mind, but I've been able to get away without people just direct deposit me or, EFT payments or whatever. So it's never been, I mean, with online services now, people would like to do those on a credit card, but really I put it on my credit card. I collect all the points on my card, the travel points, right? And then they just transfer it to me. So I've collected a lot of travel points that way. Yeah.
All my expenses go through credit cards. I've gone to Europe first class. I love traveling. That's how I get that. That's how I travel in style. One thing that you mentioned was ACH, right? So when somebody says, well, give me your account number and your routing, be careful with that. Because once the cat's out of the bag, you don't know where that information might land, right? Because they can use that money to deposit, but guess what? They can also use that money to get money out of your account. And so here's the strategy we use at IT Impact. We have 3 accounts. We have one account, which is called operations. That's where all the money is mostly. We use that to pay payroll, pay our bills and stuff. We have another one called the ACH account. We do as the minimum balance. And that's the one we give out the routing number and the account number. So as soon as somebody deposits money in the account, it gets transferred out immediately. So if somebody ever tries to steal from me using the ACH, they're not going to be able to take much, just the minimum amount. And then we have a savings account because you should be saving, right? The one thing I've learned in this business is you got to save on your way up and need those savings on the way down. Very good questions, guys. Anything else before we go?
I have one. What kind of training program do you have? I know you're expanding, growing, hiring. Do you train internally, or do you anticipate people will come with skills?
Yeah, people will come with skills. Look, to me, it's extremely important you understand business. I mean, I interviewed a candidate once. I asked them, so have you done any APAR solutions? And they didn't know that AP meant the accounts payable and AR meant the accounts receivable. I can't deal with that, right? You have to understand the language of business. I'm not going to teach you business 101 in this job. The other aspect of this is sometimes they come to me and they're great Access developers, but they're mechanical ones, right? They got a snippet of code from order.access.com that loops through records, but they don't know anything about the object model in Access. They just don't. They just know it works. And they're great programmers, but because they can be better if they understand the object model. So one of the things I always pride myself is I sit them down. I say, look, this is the actual object model. If you know the model well, you'll become an amazing Access developer. And maybe we should do that, right? That'll be a good topic for next fall. What do you guys think? Go over the Access object model. You guys like to know more about that? Do a deep dive?
I would, yeah, for sure.
Sure.
George, you've written books on Access object model. Come on, George. But you
Yeah,
have to be more, it's too modest sometimes.
Well, you can always learn more. I learned something last week at my user group meeting that I did not know. And
What was
Kent
that?
and Linda were both there.
What was that? What did you learn?
Well, it has to do with sorting and filtering and default. And I won't bore you all with that, but it was an eye opener because it's something we've all taken for granted for years and years and years. And Eric explained how it works, and it was like, well, of course, but it's something I had not thought of forever. So
I have a YouTube video I like to share with you guys real quick. I give this video to my new employees. Let me just real quick bring this up. Let me just roll the video, and I want to share the link at the point where I want you to see the video. It's a Matrix. Matrix is my #1 movie. All right, here we go. No, after just copy the link. As soon as we're done here, make sure you copy it. And I queued it up for you in the link itself. You can do that on YouTube. There's a point in this video where Naomi, I think, is captaining the ship. She does something amazing. And the captain of the ship relinquished command of the ship because she's the best pilot they have. And so what George just had last week was the same sentiment that Naomi had when she was from that captain who gave his ship over to Naomi. So watch the video when you get a chance. Copy it right now before we close because you'll probably lose the link. The fact of the matter is, I'm still learning. But going back to you employees, yeah, I would love for you to be a perfect candidate. I would love. David says he's going to submit his resume. I would love to have David be an expert in Microsoft Access SQL Server, how the two can be optimized. I would love him to be an expert in the object model. I would love him to be a great access consultant, not developer or programmer, but access consultant, where he can work with minimum supervision. Right? Do I have to be following up with him constantly? No, I don't want that kind of employee. I'm all about results. Make your billable hours. I tell my employees, you got to make at least 32 billable hours every week. That's the goal. If you make your 32 billable hours, we'll keep the lights on. Right? So that's 8 hours out of the 40-hour work week that you can do for other things. Right? Follow your reports, learn a new technique, work on a private project. But you got to give me my 32 hours every week. And so that's the kind of employee out there. They are out there, but it's hard for me, right? So usually what I do is I vet them extensively through interviews, rounds of interviews, and then I give them 3 months. Says, look, you gotta prove to us that you can. If you get beyond the 3-month mark, great. Now you gotta get beyond the 2-year mark, because our statistics say if you can be here for more than 2 years, you'll be here forever. A lot of our employees, actually every employee who's been here for more than 2 years is still with me. I've got employees now going on 10 years. Who sees that these days? I have employees who have been here for 8 years, 7 years, 10 years, 6 years. When I look at their resumes, people don't spend more than 2 years in a job, including myself. When I first started out as a young mechanical engineer at college, I was constantly switching jobs, learning new industries, you're doing new things. But here, once you land here, this is your family. And we say that, we take that, we say it religiously. Together we get ahead. It's not just one getting ahead. I want you to be able to go on vacations. I want you to be able to buy that car, that new car. I want you to be able to buy that house. Not just one getting ahead. Together we get ahead. And so, during the interview process, that's why I tell them. Says you gotta be able to win them over, but they have to also prove to you that they have what it takes to help you become successful.
Two questions. Where do you look for talent? And number two, how do you incentivize yours, especially in this day and age where you're hiring the new ones, they're already looking for the next best thing, right?
All right. Well, look, LinkedIn has an amazing job posting capabilities. So I post my jobs on LinkedIn, and I pay. I think for the Access developer, I pay. You can post it for free, by the way. And I did get some applicants for free. I like to pay because I want to be able to cast that wide net in LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I get there, and they make it very easy. People can apply for your job on LinkedIn. I can review their profile, view their resume. I ask them to answer certain questions. And if they don't give me the right answers, they automatically get disqualified. And, a lot of people lie on those answers. I was looking for a sales guy the other day. Says, make sure you have to have manufacturing experience. And then I look at their resume. They say, yes. So do you have manufacturing experience selling manufacturing? Yes. I look at their resume. They sell insurance, or they sell, 365. That's not what I said in the question. So I automatically reject them right there. I don't bother interviewing them if they don't bother reading it. And people just don't read. In the job description, this is a technique I use in a job description. The last line in the job description says, make sure you mention you want to join the green fog team when you communicate with me. So if they don't mention green fog, I know they didn't read the whole job description. Automatically disqualified. This is a detailed job. You have to be a detail-oriented person. And all you did was you got so excited you didn't bother reading the rest of it. That's a death mark for me. And so I have all these things to weed them out. And then finally I get to that core people who have the experience that I need, have a great resume, wonderful experience, and I interview them. And then they don't work out through the interview. I have people who won't share the camera with me. I made that mistake hiring a guy who never showed his camera to me, and then it turns out that another person showed up for the job. So from now on, if you interview, I record it, I see your face, and I know it's you who shows up on day one. Believe it or not, that happened to me. The other thing is, during the interview process, you have to be a type A personality. You're a consultant. If I have to pull the information out of you for the interview, you're not my kind of guy. You might be humble. That may work in other situations, but as a salesperson, you have to be a type A personality. And as a consultant, you have to have some of that too. Look, I hired this developer once, and she was a type, no, she wasn't type A, she was type D, as in dog, because she was so low key. Because I would say, hey, how are you? Fine. I mean, I'm texting her on Teams. That was your weekend? Okay. That was her modus operandi. Answer with one word, one words. I couldn't for the life of me get her out of her shell. And the day I fired her, that's the same technique I use with her. Says, hi, unfortunately, this didn't work out. Bye. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, I think she said, what? Yeah, you're not working here anymore. Oh, okay. You know, the fact is that you need to be assertive. You need to be able to be a business person, a people person, a PP person, right? Be a people person. And that was, you know, that firing was not the usual way of doing this. Usually when people get fired here is because they already know they're on the roads, because we give you evaluation every month as a new employee. We give you constant feedback. Hey, make sure you do this. Remember how we told you in rotation to put your hours in every end of the day? Well, last night you didn't do that. Make sure you do it now, right? So, and then they get a verbal, we have a progressive discipline policy. They get a verbal warning, then they get a written warning, then they get a suspension, then they get terminated. So, you know, if you had a suspension, you know, next time I call you, you know what it's about. So people know when they're going to get fired around here. It's no surprise to anybody. Then again, I'm taking all my employees to the Caribbean this year in November. So if David, who's on this call, comes work for me and ends up passes 3 months, he'll be in the Caribbean with his wife. I'm taking all my employees to the Caribbean on my dime. They can bring their wife, but they have to pay for her. So David, that's the drawback. You have to pay for your wife. But once your wife gets there, she, you know, pay for half of the hotel, pay for the trip. And once she gets there, it's an all-inclusive resort. We're going to have a great time. And I'm doing that for my employees. I'm not taking this money with me when I die. Who else wants to apply? Any more takers? Donna? What would it take, Donna, for you to work for me?
I'm like you. I don't work well under somebody else. You make it so tempting and it sounds so good, but yeah.
If you love programming, hate selling, then I'm your guy, because you can focus on what you love. And that's the other thing is, you're going to learn so many new things with us, things that you never knew before. I promise you there's something. If it doesn't work out at the end of the day, at least you're going to be a much better programmer than when you started.
Truth.
So think about it. Let's talk now. You got my contact information. Brian, thanks for applying. Looking forward to seeing your resume. Yeah, we already have an appointment scheduled for the 19th. That was quick.
I don't even think I'd know how to do a CSV anymore.
Nah, you don't need a CSV, girl. I know you backwards and forwards already. It feels like. All right, look, we're going to take our summer hiatus. I am gone June, July, August. I'll be back in September. In September, we're probably going to go over the object model and security. Usually I like to do the SQL Server with Access Academy the first 3 months of the term. It starts September, but this year I think I've done too many times that, so there's plenty of videos of that, and I think we're going to do a little different approach. I have some more guest hosts, more guests next year. I'm lining up some great talent to some amazing topics. I want to wish all of you guys a great summer. I am actually traveling the US in my brand new electric pickup, the Ford Lightning. I'm looking forward to going out west, going to the Las Vegas, seeing the Grand Canyon, camping in the back of my truck with my wife and my dog. Sarah is an amazing cook. We hope to make new friends at the campsite when they start smelling the Puerto Rican rice and beans. And the neighbors next door is like, man, that smells good. Come on over, grab a plate. We got plenty.
Which campsite is that?
You know, there's nothing like making new friends on the road. And so
You
maybe
know-
I'll tweet you guys where I'm at so you can come on over.
You know, beautiful British Columbia. That's our motto. Beautiful BC. We have mountains. We have the sea. We have lakes. We have it all. We
Well,
even have some
Donna,
desert.
Donna, you know, I really would love to get you know, even if you don't become an employee, can you send me your contact info? Soto at
100%.
itimpet.com. Send me your contact info.
100%.
Let's just talk. Let's just talk. If it takes me
Love
going
that.
out to British Columbia to convince you to come work for me, that's what I'll do. And I'll bring the Puerto Rican rice with me.
How can one say no to that?
So you guys have a great summer. And thank you so much for being here. A lot of you guys have been here throughout every show up every month. Really, it does not go unnoticed. And I appreciate you guys. I do this because of you. I do it free. I open my heart and soul in these meetings. So again, thank you. Help me promote these meetings by tweeting about it, writing on LinkedIn, Facebook. And let's see if we can get some fresh blood in September. So long, everybody. Have a great summer.
You're awesome. Have a great summer, Juan.
You too, Donna.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.